And this is my audience for my speech today.
Everyone has a best friend, whether human or not. Now imagine life without your best friend and how that would make you feel. This is how helpless dogs and cats feel every day when they are abandoned at a shelter and left without a best friend. According to the dogrescuers.com, every year 8 million dogs and cats are abandoned in a shelter, and this statistic needs to stop for the sake of the animals. The problem is overcrowding in animal shelters. The solution is to educate the pet owners, and once they are educated, both animals and humans will reap the benefits. The action we need to take is to adopt animals from shelters and properly take care of our pets. While everyone loves their pets, sometimes owners can be at a loss about what to do with their animals. In fact, the problem is that too many owners think that it is okay to abandon dogs and cats in shelters, and this causes overcrowding in these animal shelters. A statistic from DoSomething.org, which can be seen on the screen, estimates that over 20% of people who leave dogs or cats in shelters originally got their pet from another shelter, and the rest of the people who leave animals in shelters simply have no idea what to do with their pet. When dogs and cats are left in shelters, other problems can arise, such as overcrowding in the shelters from lack of spaying and neutering, or animal euthanizing from lack of room in the shelters. When people think that it is okay to drop off their dog or cat at an animal shelter, they are only hurting their animal by overcrowding the shelter, and cause other problems within the shelter itself. Now, the solution to stop owners from abandoning their animals at shelters is to educate them on the different options that they have. Each major point is highlighted here on the screen. First, the people need to be educated about spaying and neutering their pets. To control the overpopulation, SPAYUSA.org estimates that dogs reproduce 15 times more than humans, and cats reproduce 45 times more than humans, meaning that all companion animals need to be spayed and neutered to control the inevitable overpopulation. Secondly, the people need to be informed about the different places they can take their animals rather than a shelter. A newer idea, called an animal sanctuary, takes in animals and gives them to a foster family to take care of them rather than letting them sit in a cage in a shelter. The animals in a sanctuary setting will be treated with love and compassion while waiting to be adopted. Overcrowding in animal shelters can be solved when people spay and neuter their animals and people take their animals to shelter alternatives. Furthermore, there are several benefits to this solution, both for humans and animals alike. For animals, the benefits are endless. One of the most important benefits for animals is that they will be properly loved and cared for by a family, as are the animals in this PowerPoint. However, even if they are in a shelter, there will be a smaller population in the shelter due to spaying and neutering. Animals will also benefit in a distribution of population between shelters and sanctuaries. They will receive better care this way. For people, the benefits come from the satisfaction of knowing you did the right thing with your animal. The SPCH.org estimates that 29% of animals are taken to a shelter because the person's home does not allow pets, meaning that the person cares about their pet, and although they cannot take care of them, they still want them to go to a good home. By being educated about alternatives to shelters, such as sanctuaries, people can make sure their animals are going to a good home and know their pet will be well taken care of. In this solution, there are benefits to both animals and people, and both sides end with the animals being treated properly. Finally, there are several courses of action that can be taken, but the most important one includes animals being treated properly. The Huffington Post reports that people who own a pet are happier, less stressed out, and lead longer lives. There is nothing more rewarding than having a furry best friend, and a best friend that used to be in need of a good home, but is now spayed or neutered and properly treated. This quote can be seen in the PowerPoint. To help reduce overpopulation, it is important to adopt an animal from a shelter or sanctuary rather than a breeder. Breeders are known to have more expensive adoption fees rather than going to a shelter, and animals from breeders can be mistreated just the same as those from shelters. People can take action by adopting a pet from a shelter or sanctuary to reduce the sheltered animal population, and make sure they spay and neuter their pet and take care of their pet responsibly. Educating pet owners about their options can solve the problem of overpopulation in animal shelters. When people take action by adopting animals from shelters and sanctuaries rather than a breeder, both animals and humans alike will reap the benefits. Adopting animals from a shelter or sanctuary is vital to reducing overpopulation in shelters, and there are many places that have great animals. I personally have worked at several shelters with animals that deserve a good home, such as the Husky Haven, or CAP, which stands for Citizens for Animal Protection, and I would urge everyone to adopt their household pet from places like these. I personally have adopted 2 Shelties from the Houston Sheltie Sanctuary, and I can attest to the kindness and love that my dogs give to me, even though they were held in a shelter. I'm glad that I decided to adopt animals in need instead of going to a breeder, and I couldn't imagine my life without my wonderful pets.